Okay, this is the fourth in our series on what's new with the Samsung S9, and primarily intended for people that have had Android devices in the past, but certainly useful for anybody else as well. So let's roll through settings. Okay, so let's just swipe down from the top and see our quick settings. Okay, so we'll roll through each of these very quickly and to go over the ones that are of interest, the new ones. So Wi-Fi, pretty self-explanatory. Normally this should be on. Normally you should be connected to Wi-Fi. Sound, pretty obvious. That's your alerts. Bluetooth, same thing. Auto rotate. That's when you take the device and you turn it sideways. Does the screen auto rotate? Some people don't like that, some do. Flashlights, pretty self-explanatory. Flight mode, same thing. Power saving, this is actually quite neat. Okay, so the thing with power saving is to press and hold it. Don't just click on it. It defaults to off. I typically have it on mid, but I'm going to, well, I'd like to kick it over to max to show you, but if I do that, we'll lose the screen here and I won't be able to show it to you. I'm going to click it on mid for the second. There we go. And apply. And this is probably the happiest place. It extends your battery life by many hours. If I hit max, you can see how many hours that are there, 200 hours. That's an awfully long time. And what that does is it basically turns you back to a phone that doesn't check for things all the time. So it's not checking for email all the time, for instance. You still have email there, but it only checks it when you check it. So if you launch your mail, it will then go out and query it and see if there's anything new. Your texts will come through. That you can use the camera. It turns the screen to black and white. It's just a great setting, especially when you're down to that last 20% of juice and you're at the airport and you need to make sure your phone's going to work in 2 hours. Use Max. That's a really awesome feature. Very few people do use it. It's a mistake. They should use it. It's really handy. Okay, let's go through the rest of it here. Blue light. Blue light is well, people make a big deal of it. I like it. It's not the end of the earth, but let me explain it quickly. So I'm going to press and hold it. And I have mine set, as you can see, to sunset to sunrise. And what that actually does is turn down the blue on the screen as the evening hits. Apparently, there is substantial research that shows that blue in screens activates the brain and keeps you awake. So you may want to turn that off if you are one of these people that uses your phone at night, because when you turn your phone off, if you're not using this blue light filter, your brain's still going to be rolling around. So apparently this helps a bit. Windows has it built in as well. I'm not sure about iOS, but it is a nice feature, and it's new to the latest batches of Samsung phones. So I would use it, and I do use it. A secure folder, that has to do with Knox and other things. We're going to skip that for the minute. Location is your location. It's where you are. Generally a good thing to have on. I realize that, yes, some people may not want it because it provides a tracking system, but I use it because I need it I want it for all kinds of little things, from mapping to other bits. So I would leave location on. NFC, that's a short form for near field communication. Basically, if you want to do anything with tap, your credit cards, you want to use any sort of Google Pay, your bank, that kind of thing. If you want your phone to tap, you need near field communication turned on. NFC also gets used for a feature that very few people used, but it's really cool, which is if you take two Samsung smartphones and you tap the back of them, and there's an image on one, it can transfer to the other. Nobody does it. It just looks really cool. I've never done it other than to prove it worked. Anyway, so NFC is for near field communication. You'll notice that there's two dots at the bottom here, so there's actually more. I'm going to slide over now. There we go. Always on display. Always on display is just that. It basically, I'm going to press and hold it, and it turns your phone into a sort of an alarm clock. It turns the screen to black, except for the white display of the clock and anything else that you have set to turn on here. But it's very low power. It's on by default. I still turn it off because I just don't need it. But a lot of people may like it, especially if you're a traveler or you're one of these people that just can't go to bed without your phone, because your phone is your alarm clock and everything else. So maybe that's handy for you. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so that gets us to Smart View is important if you're the kind of person that uses your phone to push content to another screen. So what it will do is change the orientation. So right now you can see my phone is standing up vertically, but what if I had a YouTube video and I was pushing it to my TV? You know, I cast it to my TV. So I had something that my TV sports Miracast or some other system. Well, having the phone vertical on the screen, on a wide screen, is kind of stupid. So, what you could do is just turn your phone sideways, and then your TV will catch up and it'll go sideways. However, the Smart View does that for you. So, if it detects that you're mirror casting something out, and the other screen is wide, it'll change it to wide. Phone visibility has to do with other phones, mostly Samsung phones, being able to transfer things to your phone. It's just a feature that ties into near field communication. It's just a feature that people just don't seem to use. So, okay, do not disturb. Do not disturb. Just turns off the alerts. Great for meetings, things like that. Sync. If you turn sync off, your Outlook, your mail, I should say, calendar, things like that will not sync. So you want to leave that on. Edge lighting, that's an interesting little feature. So as you know, if you have a Samsung S9, the left and the right sides are curved. They're using a curved screen. And what that allows them to do is have this edge lighting feature. So let me just click and hold it and we'll go into it. And you can see that I have edge lighting turned on. Mostly what this is for is alerts. So if I have the phone, let's take an example of where I have the phone on my desk, but I have it face down. If I get an alert in, this will send a color bar around the outside of the screen, which is, you know, it's kind of cool. So let's show a couple of things. I'm going to start at the bottom with Manage Apps down here, and I'll show you the apps that I've chosen to turn on, because I don't want the alerts on for most things, but I do want it on if I get a text, and I do want it on for my calendar. So if I'm going to miss something, I want the alerts to pop up. Strangely, I can't seem to find one in here for the phone, which is hardly the end of the earth because there's so many other alerts for the phone, but it would be nice if it was there. Yeah, and you could turn on whatever other alerts you wanted. So if CNN had something, you could turn it on there. I don't want alerts from those. Now, what you need to do if you do want to set this up is, again, choose your apps and then go down to Edge Lighting, Style. Some people say this doesn't work, and the reason is they've got their transparency set too low. So you want to go into the effect, set whatever effect you want. You can see it going around. You can see it going around the screen there. See this? Yeah. Okay. I'll set it to glow for a second, and you'll see it just glows around the screen. Anyway, that's fine. or glitter, I should say. So I'll set this one to glow. I just like it to come on. Colors, I just don't care. You can set specific apps to have specific colors. Again, don't care. Transparency, how dark do you want it? How light do you want it? You probably want to turn your transparency somewhere in the middle. And the width, how big do you want it? So you can see here, I'm just changing this width setting. I want it to be really wide because I want to notice it. Yeah, so that's edge lighting. Let's get out of that. And that gets us to the last one we're going to talk about here, which is Dolby. Well, it's the last of these quick settings we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you two other things that are really handy after this that are in the main settings, but that's all. So Dolby Atmos, I don't care about it. Somehow this phone got certified as Dolby Atmos, qualified. I played with this a little bit. I'm not that interested in it, but it has to do with what type of what type of audio you want this to output. Again, for me, I just want audio. My hearing's not that great anyway, so changing these little details just doesn't make a difference. So I don't know why it's off by default if it's so great, but I think it's off because it probably chews more electricity. That's a guess. Okay, so let's get out of this now, and let's get in. I'll show you two things in the master settings here that we'll go through. So I'm going to swipe down from the top. I'm going to click the cog at the top right here. There's a million settings in here, and if you have an old version of Android, or you're coming from a different kind of device, you may not have the search at the top, and the search is really handy. So if you want to find, well, here you can see I did a search for hotspot. By the way, yes, I know where hotspot is. I just did this as a demo, so that's why that showed up. So, but if you want to know how to turn your phone into a mobile hotspot, which is just such a great feature, you just type it in, and then you're on your way. So I can turn it on, so on and so forth. So the searching at the top is really handy. The next thing I want to show you is a really great feature for resetting the device, where you don't reset everything. You just reset the configuration, so you don't lose your mail, you don't lose your desktop, you don't lose things like that. So let's go through and I'll show you that. Okay, so you just scroll down and go to General Management. You could just do a search for it, by the way, as I just said, but just go into General Management, and in here is a great feature. I just click on Reset, where we reset the settings. So you don't reset the whole machine. You're not losing your pictures, you're not losing your email, you're not losing any of that. You're just resetting the configuration, which is just so nice. So yeah, you'll blow your Wi-Fi, you'll blow off your Bluetooth, and things like that, but it won't blow up the apps that you want to use. So it's just a great troubleshooting tool. And that's it. If you have any questions, please get a hold of us at www.urtech.ca. Thank you. Bye-bye.